very much. You are staying with us. We now move over to the Middle East, where foreign ministers from European and West Asian nations are gathering in Madrid today for talks aimed at increasing pressure on Israel to halt its offensive in Gaza. The meeting comes as Spain pushes for stronger action to end the war and lift the Israeli blockade on aid. Meanwhile, rescuers in Gaza say an Israeli airstrike has killed 9 children belonging to a married pair of doctors in the southern city of Khan Yunis. Gaza's Civil Defense Agency has reported that the children of Dr. Hamdi al-Najjar and Dr. Alaa al-Najjar died in the strike, with the parents and another son seriously wounded. Footage from the aftermath showed rescuers recovering charred bodies from the family home. The Israeli military stated that the strike was under review following reports of these civilian casualties. In another related development, Israel is investigating multiple cases involving its own soldiers allegedly forcing Palestinians to act as human shields in Gaza, a practice the Israeli military says is strictly prohibited under its orders. In a statement, the Israel Defense Forces confirmed that several investigations have been launched by its military police criminal division following reports that Palestinians were coerced into participating in military operations, including being sent into buildings and tunnels to check for explosives or armed fighters. The announcement follows a report which cited testimonies from both Palestinian civilians and Israeli soldiers. According to the report, the use of Palestinians as human shields has become widespread during the ongoing conflict. Meanwhile, Malaysia's foreign minister has condemned what he called atrocities in Gaza, accusing the international community of double standards and indifference to the suffering of Palestinians. We're now joined by Joshua Barnes once again to discuss this in more detail. Joshua, we're now seeing further opposition to the Israeli government occurring, growing pressure on Netanyahu and his ongoing war. What can you tell us about the recent international opposition to the Israeli government? Obviously, this has turned on its head since when it was from the start of the war. What more can you tell us?
Yes, absolutely, Thomas. Now, there has been a clear shift. You just alluded to it there. Initially, following the October 7th attacks and, of course, Israeli military action in Gaza, the consensus was this is a response to an abhorrent terrorist attack that has taken place on Israeli soil with the capture of hostages. Now, as the war has gone on, many governments, many heads of states, many leaders around the world have, of course, stood in solidarity with Israel. While there have been pockets within certain governments, we look at the United Kingdom as an example where there has been sort of calls to question the actions that have been going on within Gaza amid humanitarian crises, amid ongoing displacement as well. But these calls have been isolated pockets within governments or within think tanks within countries, but it now does seem that there has been more of a shift with some. We can't say all. There is still clear support for Israeli military action in Gaza from some leading countries, including the United States, one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful country in the world, a staunch ally of Israel. But there has been a look deeper into Gaza, what is going on. Of course, the situation has stemmed from holding of hostages. There was, of course, a ceasefire, and hostages are still not being released dead and alive, which in war is something that is rarely seen, if seen at all. So that needs to be kept in mind. But aside from that, the situation within the Gaza Strip, the conditions that people are living in, the amount of civilian casualties that are being reported by Hamas-run health ministries, we just must again allude to that. But this has led to more of a conversation amongst world leaders of what's going on and whether more can be done to protect civilians and provide aid that is vitally needed. We know an aid blockade that lasted around 11 weeks has now come to an end, but aid distribution within Gaza, with so many communities displaced, given action that we've seen, military action on the ground and in the air that we've seen from Israel in the Strip, means that the aid distribution is difficult. There's also the condition around Hamas still being within Gaza, and the fact that this aid can't get into the hands of Gaza because it will help to bolster their fighting forces and keep them alive in the situation with food shortages, aid shortages as well. So a very difficult situation, but there has been a shift from global leaders. I want to quickly talk about a shift that we've seen as well amongst some pockets within Israel. There have been protests about the ongoing situation in Gaza. A key point has been the release of hostages. Now, during the ceasefire period, there were regular releases of hostages, although it came at points with difficulty. There were hold-ups. The way in which Hamas released hostages as well was seen on the global stage as not done very well, not done with taste, almost a procession like scene set with a stage. But since the military resumption from Israel, only one hostage has been released, and it seems that was a deal that was brokered with the US and Hamas. It was an Israeli-US hostage. So within Israel itself, there are a lot more people who are coming out and speaking against the Netanyahu government about the way in which he is carrying out this operation, which ultimately has not seen any more hostages bar one since the resumption of the fighting be released.
Joshua, along with the international reaction and the opposition to this aid blockade, they've also cited the new Israeli offensive. We don't have much time left, but could you just briefly explain what that is?
Yes, absolutely. To put it plainly, Benjamin Netanyahu says that his forces are going to control the whole of Gaza as a way of him to get rid of Hamas. His key goals are the return of all dead and alive hostages. He wants the end of Hamas in Palestine, and he wants to make sure they're disarmed, disbanded, and can't stage an attack like the 7th of October again. Netanyahu's goal is clear. He says the only way I'm going to get that done is to control the whole of Gaza.
Joshua Barnes, thank you very much for joining us.